Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. I'm running some more T5 Abyss. My favourite activity to do to earn ISK. It's a very good way to earn dank ISK, and it's something I strongly recommend for you guys who like to do the PvE way in EVE Online. It's by far the best activity I know to earn ISK consistently. Sometimes I've heard of explorers earning ISK faster than me. Like for example, I was exploring for 1 hour, I earned 500 mil. But I bet those guys don't do that every day. Here, I'm earning 250 mil plus every hour, whenever I want to, every day. So, as you've maybe heard before, I've wanted. I need to activate my modules. Activate my modules, man. Gila, don't sleep. Yeah, I should not sleep. You know the before that I've talked about wanting to get this Nergal, so I'm continuing farming the T5 Abyss to be able to get that Nergal. I'm not there yet, but I have to farm a few more sites to be able to get this Nergal. I hope to get there in due time, but it'll be interesting to be able to do that because I like the idea of being able to do the burner missions. I've told you guys before about the burner missions. They're like these special op missions that pay a lot and also are very hard, and often you use frigates. Something I didn't actually mention in the last video was that the reason that it's specifically a frigate we have to use for this is because they've got very specific site restrictions. So like they will say, for example, you have to have a frigate. So I obviously, if it was a very tough site, I could just use a X-large shield booster rattlesnake, 100 like over 1,000 DPS a second tank, no problem. But the thing is, you have site restrictions, so you have to use a frigate. We will be continuing here to do farming for that ship, and hopefully I'll have it soon. I look forward to be able to do these missions because often when I do my standard L4 missions, I go there and I paladin or maybe my barghest. I do L4 missions, but I often see these burner missions, and the burner missions, they pop up as like a stat. Like you go onto your agent, you talk to your agent, it's like, hey man, I want to do a mission, and then sometimes they will this is completely random. It's not like a specific thing you do, just completely random. This is only for L4 missions as well. It's not like L3 missions, only L4 missions. Then they'll sometimes say, hey, we got some special business to do right here. You gotta take out that guy, and then that's the burner agent that you have to kill. That is very, very deadly. So at random you get these missions, and then I see these missions and I always have to decline them because I'm not able to use them. I don't have a burner running ship. I don't have a ship to use burners. And the thing is, you don't usually say that. You don't usually say that, I have a burner running ship the same way you say I have a mission running ship. You always say that you have like 10 plus ships. You have a whole fleet of burner running ships. And I can't be bothered to have to do that. I want to just have one ship to do stuff. I'm okay with like 2 ships, maybe 3 ships to be able to do the same activity. I can do L4 missions. I have my barghest, barghest. There's a big bar on that barghest. Then I've got my paladin. They can both independently run L4 missions, so I have them basically just for a little bit of a change of pace. Both of them are pretty good at L4 missions. The barghest a bit better at blitzing, the paladin better at doing the full clear. The burners, however, you have to have so many ships to be able to do them at all, and I don't like that. The thing I love about this Nergal is I'll be able to do them all, or almost all of them, in just this one ship right here, and it'll actually feel like, okay, this is my separate mission running ship, so I don't have to keep an eye or keep a check on all these different fits. It's just one ship, and you just swap out a few modules for each mission, and that'll be really nice right here. And I have actually, in my abyssal runs, I've not come across a whole lot of these deadly new spawns. So you know how the Depths of the Abyss update happened, when was it now? It was like in October, it was quite a while ago. But there were all these new spawns, these like Angel ones, Sancha ones, the Edencom ones. Everyone's having big problems with those Concord ones. And I don't have any problems with them. I've never really had any problem with them. The only problems I've had with the Concord spawn is the one... now this is not really so scientific because I've not come across a whole lot of Concord spawns, so I can't say for sure. I can't say that okay, I've done this many and I can say based on this deduce how the outcome is. No, I've only done a few of them, so it's more like anecdotal evidence. So I'm just saying like, this is what happened then. But in my T4 runs, when T4s, so I do T4s and T5 bits. This is T5. In my T4 runs, I've noticed that the Concord spawns have been pretty nasty, actually. And it has, I think, a lot to do with the fact that my T4 running ship is not as tanky as this T5 running ship. So, I think the reason people are having a lot of problems with the T5 or the Concord Abyss, because I don't have any problems with the Concord Abyss spawner in my T5 Gila. I think it has to do with just the sheer amount of DPS in that room and the sheer amount of applicability those marshals have. As well as Thundercharts. Actually, the Thundercharts have a pretty big alpha, actually, so you want to watch out for that. And it's also actually they have very little HP. They have very little HP, so it could actually be worth to take them out actually first. But the point is, they have a pretty high like raw DPS, and also they apply it pretty well. So I think basically what the Marshal, this is, as I said before, I've not done a whole lot of them. I've only done a few, like I think 3 or 4 Concord rooms, and I feel like this. It puts a big requirement on the brute force of your tank, on like the absolute regen. It doesn't think so much about like how your speed tank or anything. It just thinks about how much you just tank straight away, because I feel like everything applies pretty well. The Thunderchild applies pretty well. The Marshal applies pretty well with the missiles. I feel like it just puts just a very big requirement on the brute force tank you have, and often people, like you're in a cruiser, right? In the Abyss, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of enemies with a very high DPS. You know, Charybdis, Bethnic, Abyssal Overmind. You can negate a lot of that damage by just speed tanking. But the thing is, when it comes to the Marshal, you can't really speed tank there, because it's always, those missiles are always going to hit. And they seem to almost be like, I don't think it is the case, but I feel like almost like they've got rapid heavies, because they apply really well. They apply really well to frigates as well. I've died in a Retribution to the damn Marshal, actually. So I just think it has to do that if you want to succeed in the Marshal room. Now, I've not done a whole lot of them again, so this is not 100% sure. It could be just that I was lucky, somehow something happened that I was lucky. But so far, in all the Marshal rooms I've done in the T5, I had absolutely no problems, just went through it straight away. They had no issues with tank. I just tanked it like a boss. So I just think you just have to have a really good tank. Just really good tank, a really good tank. Don't rely on speed tanks to take out the Marshals. They really don't care. They have pretty good applicability. It's not like with Charybdis Tyrannus, where it's only a bit of deadliness on the initial projection or initial vector where you try to get in to that orbit. In Charybdis Tyrannus, there's a very high DPS requirement, but you can mitigate a lot of that. Especially, you can mitigate it almost completely if you get a 500 and just orbit at 500. Then you can mitigate it almost completely. So in that way, you don't actually have to have so much absolute tank, like absolute regen per second. You can actually mitigate a lot by just speed tanking, especially in an after benefit. It'll be a bit harder for Charybdis to hit. I get hit quite easily by Charybdis because I'm using an MWD fit, but on the other hand, the benefit of the MWD though is actually when it comes to Charybdis. So I actually felt like, okay, maybe an afterburner would be very good for Charybdis because it'll be a lot easier to speed tank, and that is true. And especially when it comes to wrecking shots probability to happen is increased when I've got a MWD running like this. The only thing is, remember when I said about that orbit at 500? It's much easier to get that orbit at 500 if you are in an MWD. It only takes a few seconds. You get that orbit at 500. So I like the way the MWD gives me that speed boost. I'm able to get under the Charybdis' guns and just completely negate the damage. Like, even if I'm orbiting at 500 with an MWD, I still negate all the damage. So it is very useful in that regard, especially if I selectively take a route that avoids anchorings or warp scrambling cruisers, and I have my drone selectively take out those cruisers. It'll be it's very easy to do Charybdis Tyrannus. I remember when I was experimenting with T4s back in the day, when I had no idea how to do them, I used the MWD, and I remember it was a bit stressful to not get scrammed, but in the end, I just got it was just a case of just taking drones, throwing them on the ones that will scramble you, and then orbiting at Charybdis at 500 and approach Charybdis in an arc. And within due time, you'll get an orbit and you will be taking more or less no damage. The cruisers really, they don't do a whole lot of damage. I mean, they do damage. I've noticed the cruisers do quite a bit of damage, especially if you're taking the brute force of Charybdis. Like, for example, this ship right here, it can face tank Charybdis quite easily, but it can't, or at least not reliably, face tank Charybdis with all the cruisers attacking it simultaneously. So it's not like the cruisers do no damage in the Charybdis Tyrannus rooms, but they usually are pretty easy to take out, and they don't do at all as much damage as the Charybdis Tyrannus battleship itself. So we'll orbit at 500 right here. We've got some Lucid Deep Watchers right here. I like the name of Lucid Deep Watcher. It sounds like a very mysterious name. It's sitting there in the dark, watching you from the depths of the abyss. It's sitting there. It feels like this is the kind of thing you would find under the sea. And it'll be like, it looks almost like a bit like a submarine, actually. Maybe that's what they're trying to go with, like a submarine kind of vibe. It's like a submarine sitting like very secretively under the ocean, and it's listening to you. It's a lucid deep watcher. It's deep watching you from the depths, and it's lucid, so it's awake, like it's a lucid dreaming, you know. It's like awake while it's dreaming down there. Now I'm getting a bit too over the top right here, but we've almost killed this Lucid Deep Watcher right here. They're known for being really tanky, very annoying, but the Gila doesn't care because of the insane DPS we have. Okay, so we talked a bit more about burner frigate that I'm trying to get, the Nergal. The Nergal to be able to do the burner missions, and I talked a whole lot about Charybdis Tyrannus, more than I actually would have expected. But that was just interesting to just go a bit over how I've come to the conclusion of how to kill Charybdis Tyrannuses that provide a lot of problems for people in the Abyss. Okay, let's just recall these drones and take a look at the haul we got today. So, 72 mil? Okay, I think that's a little bit less than average. I consider 80 mil to be the baseline. Over 80 mil? Great. Under 80 mil, not so great. So this is a little bit less than average, but it's still some decent. It's right here, 72 mil. You can do lower, 72 mil. That's like a fully fit Gamma, almost, just like that. Alright, 72 mil, and we completed this site pretty quickly, 13 minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.